A researcher at the University of Basel tracked 4,200 Swiss households over a single decade. He was looking for one thing. What separated the families who absorbed financial emergencies without debt from the families who didn't? He expected income to be the answer. He expected education, profession, city. None of it. The families who survived recovered in an average of 11 weeks. The families who didn't, 14 months, same country, similar incomes, similar jobs, one difference. And it had nothing to do with how much they earned. You've heard the advice before. Save 3 to 6 months of expenses. Keep it somewhere safe. You know it. You just don't have it. And here's what almost no one will tell you. That's not a discipline problem. It's a framing problem. Every personal finance system in the Western world presents the emergency fund as a savings goal. Something you build toward, something you accumulate over time, something you fund with the money left over at the end of the month. The Swiss don't treat it as a goal. They treat it as infrastructure. That distinction, goal versus infrastructure, sounds small. It isn't. A goal is optional when life gets difficult. Beiskorfte exists before the difficulty arrives. One frame produces a number on a vision board. The other produces 6 months in a separate account, fully funded, quietly waiting. That's the only reframe that matters. And once you understand it, you cannot unsee it. The Swiss term is Wintervorrat. It translates directly as winter reserve. For centuries, Alpine families stored food, fuel, and supplies before winter arrived, not when they felt motivated, not when they had extra. Before the season changed, the root cellar was filled in autumn. Systematically, methodically, without drama. Because the alternative was not surviving the winter. The reserve came first. Everything else came after. Wintervorrat isn't a metaphor in Swiss financial culture. It is the operating principle. You don't wait until you feel financially stable to build the reserve. You build the reserve because financial winters arrive whether you are ready or not. A 2019 study published in the Swiss Journal of Economics tracked household financial resilience across 14 European countries. Swiss households ranked first in emergency preparedness, not because of higher incomes, but because of one structural behavior, a dedicated, named, separate reserve account, funded automatically, before any discretionary spending occurred. The reserve came first. It always comes first. This is where it gets interesting. The study found that Swiss households began funding their reserve accounts at an average age of 24. Not after a financial crisis, not after advice from a professional, but as a cultural default. The same way an Alpine family stocks the cellar before the first frost, Swiss adults open a Wintervorrat account before life becomes complicated enough to make saving feel impossible. Before the mortgage, before the children, before the emergencies that make the whole thing feel pointless. The timing is the system. Here's what most Americans do instead. They keep one account. Everything flows in, everything flows out. The emergency fund, if it exists at all, lives in the same account as the groceries, the subscriptions, the dinner that was supposed to be quick. Psychologists call this mental accounting contamination. When money intended for one purpose sits alongside money intended for another, the psychological boundary between them dissolves. You don't raid your emergency fund on purpose. You spend it because it was there. And then something does go wrong. The car, the furnace, the month, the hours got cut. And you open the account and the number is smaller than you remembered. A 2023 Federal Reserve report found that 37% of American adults could not cover a $400 emergency expense without borrowing or selling something. Not $4,000, $400. This is not an income crisis. The median American household income is over $70,000 per year. This is a structural crisis. One account, no separation, no name, no system. The money was earned. The money is gone. The cellar is empty, and the frost has already arrived. 3 reasons the Swiss method works when everything else fails. First, the name changes the psychology. Swiss households don't open generic savings accounts. They name the account before the first deposit arrives. Winterkasse, Winter Fund, Emergency Reserve. It doesn't matter which words. It matters that the words are specific and personal. Research in behavioral economics has consistently documented what practitioners call the labeling effect. Money that is explicitly assigned a name and a purpose becomes psychologically distinct from money available for spending. It stops feeling like savings. It starts feeling like infrastructure you cannot dismantle without a reason. You will move money out of an unnamed account without hesitation. You will pause before touching the account you deliberately named. That pause, that single moment of friction between impulse and action, is enough to protect the account in the vast majority of cases. The name is not cosmetic. The name is the lock on the vault. Second, the compressed timeline creates a system, not a wish. Western financial advice says save 6 months of expenses. It does not say when. It does not say how much per month. It does not say what happens if you miss a month. It gives you a destination and no road. The Swiss Wintervorrat method gives you the road. 6 months in 12. That is the only number. Take your monthly living expenses. Rent, utilities, food, transport, the non-negotiables. Multiply by 6, divide by 12. That number, deposit it every month, automatically, on the day after your paycheck arrives. Fills the account in exactly 1 year, not someday, not when things settle down. 12 deposits, 1 year done. The Alpine family doesn't stock the cellar 1 jar at a time because they feel like it. They stock it because the season has a deadline, and the deadline does not negotiate. You just never gave your emergency fund one before. Third, friction is the vault door. The single most important structural decision in the Swiss method is this. The reserve account lives at a different bank than your primary checking account. Not a different app, not a different tab, a different institution. That separation creates a transfer delay of 48 to 72 hours between impulse and access. This is not an inconvenience. This is the entire system. A 2021 study in the Journal of Economic Behavior and Organization found that introducing a mandatory waiting period between financial decision and execution reduced impulsive withdrawals from savings accounts by over 60%. Gone, you will never face a genuine financial emergency, a medical event, a job loss, a structural household failure that requires money in 47 hours with no alternative. If the situation feels urgent enough to initiate the transfer, it may be real. If it doesn't, the account survives intact for another month. The friction is not a bug. The friction is the vault door. The Swiss understood this before behavioral economics had a language for it. They built the door first, then they put the money behind it. Here is how to build your Wintervorrat starting tonight. Step 1. Tonight, not this weekend, not when things calm down. Go to a bank you do not currently use and open a savings account. It takes 15 minutes online. When it asks for an account nickname, type your version of Winterkasse, Winter Fund, Emergency Reserve, the Vault. Something specific, something with weight. The name you give it tonight is the psychological barrier that protects it for the next 12 months. Step 2. Calculate your monthly non-negotiable expenses. Rent or mortgage, utilities, groceries, transportation, insurance. Add them up. Multiply by 6. Write that number down. This is your Wintervorrat target. Now divide it by 12. Write that second number down. This is your fixed monthly infrastructure deposit. Not a goal, not a target. A bill you pay to your future self every month without negotiation. Step 3. Tomorrow morning, set up an automatic recurring transfer from your primary checking account to your new reserve account. Schedule it for 1 to 2 days after your regular paycheck deposits. Not the end of the month, not when you remember. The system moves the money before your spending decisions catch up with it. This is the entire secret behind the Swiss savings rate. The money leaves before it becomes available to spend. Step 4. Write the account name, the institution, your target amount, and your monthly deposit figure in a notebook. Put it somewhere you won't see it daily. You are not meant to watch this account grow. You are meant to let it fill. The way the root cellar fills before winter, one jar at a time, without drama. Check it at month 6. Check it again at month 12. Open it and find your winter fully stocked. Something changes when the reserve exists. It's not dramatic, it's quieter than that. You stop doing the automatic mental calculation every time something breaks. How bad is this? Can I absorb this? What do I move to cover this? You stop bracing for the financial winter that might arrive this month, or next month, or 6 months from now. You stop feeling like someone who is always one bad month away from asking for help. You become someone who already prepared, not for a specific emergency. For all of them, that is what Wintervorrat gives you. Not a savings account, not a number. Structural calm, the quiet certainty of a household that has already stocked the cellar before the season changes. Tonight, open the account, name it, set the transfer. Then close the app and let the system do the work, because the frost is coming regardless. And now, so are you.